Hi, welcome to Cryptic Cruciverbalism. This video series where I solve cryptic crosswords live, discuss mechanics and abbreviations, tactics and strategies, hopefully in a way to help you with your own crosswords. This is the Guardian Quiptic, comes out once a week. It's normally my second crossword of the week after the Quick Quiptic. You can see the Quick Quiptic solves on the channel as well. The Quiptic is supposed to be somewhere between a quick crossword and a cryptic crossword, as in kind of like a introduction to the mechanics. I actually have found over the last 6 months that the Quiptic seems to be getting a touch harder, and I often find it a bit harder than Monday's Cryptic. So if you are doing the Quiptic as a way to learn crosswords and you're finding it tough, don't let that be something that stops you from trying Monday's Cryptic. Monday's Cryptic is always worth a try. I'm just going to run a little script that will show the cursor on the screen. So if you just give me 1 second, there we go. So you should be able to see the cursor now. Okay, let's get started. 8 across. So artist, leader of innovation in movement and light. Artist is often abbreviated to RA, so Royal Academy, which I had no idea about until I started doing cryptic crosswords. Leader of innovation could be the letter I, and in movement could mean it's inside a word meaning movement. So I'm thinking things like radiation or whatever, because that could give the straight part light. Doesn't jump out at me for now. I'm going to leave the RA in and we'll come back to that. So next one, 9 across. Aren't losing housing, just not right. So not right could be the straight part, or ants could be the straight part. If we assume it's not right, unfair fits. Just kind of taking a guess. And that seems to work because if we take the word ant and we remove its housing, so we remove the surroundings of the word ant, we would take the A and the T away, and that would give us a U and an N. Then just, which is the next word, it could just be a charade for fair, and that would give us a straight part, just not right, unfair. Sometimes I just do all the acrosses and then the downs. Sometimes I just do whatever looks like it kind of might go with the letters in it. 6 down has an F in the middle of a 3-letter word. It's quite a discriminating letter, so it could be off something. Let's take a look at that to see if this jumps out. So essentially policed crime surrounding alcohol shop. So we already said it could be off something, and alcohol shop could be off license. So if we just take a punt, that's what we've got. It does look like the word policed may be something that we're taking some of the letters from. Crime, what could that be? Okay, so let's see what this could be. So crime could be offence. So I think I've spelled off license wrong, because I think it might be NCE. Maybe it isn't, who knows. But if we go and look at the word, let's say that we've got a charade for crime, offence, OFFENCE. That means that all we would have to do is put a word for the essence of police surrounded by this word for crime, which is offence. Now when I look at policed, the word policed has an L, I, C and E in it. So it might be saying the essence of police, or the kind of central part of it. And it is indeed the central part, because if we take away the P and the O and the E and the T, we get LIC. And so it's the essence of police inside a word for crime, which is offence, and that gives us an alcohol shop, which is off license. I can't remember how you describe this clue, where you take away the letters that surround part of a word. It's kind of like a hidden word. So that went quite well. Maybe we'll kind of continue and go to 7 down. So stalls in Kidspool initially keeping old among new skis. That looks like a very kind of complicated, forced set of words. So when we've got the word initially, that does make me think that we might be looking at starting letters. So the starting letters of stalls in Kidspool could be SIK. And if it's going to keep old among new and give us something like skis, maybe the straight part is a word that means skis. We've got stalls in Kidspool, so SIK, and it's keeping something old. If that was the case, it could be something like SI. maybe a word ending in K. New skis. Actually, new skis could just be an anagram. So it might be that we've got in Kidspool initially, so the first letters, keeping old could be O among new skis. There's a lot of things here that kind of could be mechanics, so I'm just going to leave it and come back to that later. 10 across is nice and short. Let's take a look at that. Unemployed, setter, had clues every now and then. So the straight part is probably unemployed or every now and then. Setter is a word that's commonly abbreviated to me or I, because the setter is me or I, the person who's writing the crossword. So if it was the setter something like M-E, and it had the clues every now and then, what we might be seeing is something like the alternating letters of clues. So every now and then could be the first, third, fifth, or the second and fourth letters of clues. So it could be something like me with an L and an E in it, or potentially a C and a U, or a U and an S. This could also just be the word setter had clues every now and then. So it could be S-T-E-H or E-T-R. So if that doesn't jump out, that's no problem. Let's come back to that later. There's a few things that could be the mechanics there. Finally corrected all tags on toys with 75% off. So all tags on toys just feels really forced. So I wonder if we've got an anagram potentially. So what could be finally corrected? Finally corrected could be D, the last word of corrected. Then we need to fit another 9 letters in. Now there's 9 letters in all tags on, and the word toys could be an anagram indicator. So let's stick the anagram helper on. We've got the D at the beginning, all tags on. If we shuffle this, we're looking for something that means 75% off. Let's just jump around this a bit. So what could be the letter that comes after the D? It would have to be an A or an O. So let's put an O in there and try this again. So we've got D, all tags on. The last word could be last, potentially. But that would mean that we've got like lang or glan or something. I'm not too worried about this one for now. I think it will come, and I think we've got the mechanic, to be honest. So I'm just going to leave those letters in and come back to it. 12 cross. Look online. Okay, that could be the word search. Let's just throw it in for fun. For live coverage of disputes. So live coverage could mean that we're looking at a homophone. Disputes could be fights or brawls or something like that. So I reckon what we've got is a homophone of a word for disputes that means look online, so seeks or searches or something like that. Pretty happy that I've got a good idea of the mechanic for that one, but let's whip through and get some more letters in. Lawyer's bag. I love clues like this. This is probably just an absolute straightforward cryptic clue. So these are often just some interesting kind of a cryptic definition or some kind of wordplay. So a lawyer's bag, or a bag could be something like a case, and lawyers deal with case. So I think it's maybe something like something that means like a legal case. I'm just going to leave case in because I think that feels pretty likely. And then we've just got a cryptic definition, essentially. These are lovely clues. They don't necessarily have a particular mechanic. They're just a kind of clever bit of wordplay. The set of Rufus did amazing crosswords like that. Even with exam mark reduced by university, a first in linguistics. You know what? That's just so many words, so many potential mechanics. I'm going to skip it because I'm looking to get some easy ones in first. Decay in waste producing toxin. So decay could be an anagram indicator. That fits potentially because in waste is 7 letters and we have an N in the clue. And it might be a toxin. So let's just get the anagram helper out, shuffle this around a little bit. And we're looking for a word that's a toxin. It could be a stein something, or What have we got? I wonder if it's a word that I'm not familiar with. Come back to this one. Again, I'm pretty confident of the mechanics, so I think there's quite a few clues already that will go. Insist, head, coaches, right, leaving. So I think the straight part is likely insist, because otherwise it would have to be leaving or right leaving. I think the head coach, maybe we're looking for a word that means the head coach with an R at the end that's been taken away, so the right is taken away, or it could even just be the head coach, a word for a head coach with the R removed. So I don't know what the head coach is. It's not jumping out at me. I'm looking for easy answers, so we'll move to the next one. Special care, use, we lost, returning to fold. Okay, we have an E in the answer. Care and use, those words both feel a bit forced. If we were to remove the we from use, so the we would be lost, we'd have 6 letters left, which would be care and ES, which would be which we could potentially use as the letters for an anagram, with special being the anagram indicator. So if it was care and then the we removed from use, returning to fold, what could that be? Caesar doesn't really fit. Crease. Okay, so a fold could be a crease. The returning to fold is interesting. I think the returning to, unless I'm reading it wrong, that feels kind of a touch forced, and maybe I haven't fully parsed this clue, unless it just means that all of these mechanics return us to a word for fold. I think as we've got a C on 22 down, let's try that. C is quite a discriminating letter. Scout out money for business. So we could be looking, outs is a good anagram indicator, so it could be an anagram of the word scout, and we do have a C there. And that could mean it's a business. Business is often abbreviated to co. So there's a few things that kind of feel like they might be mechanics or whatever on this. I'm going to jump to something, see if we can get some more easy ones in. Graduate doctor weeps, admitting student cheats. So this could be, the straight part could be cheats, or it could be a graduate. Graduate could be something like BA or MBA, or quite a few words like that. Doctor could be DR or MD, so there's a lot of things that could be going on, so I'm going to wait till I've got some more answers. College vote retains sport as essential principle. So essential could mean that we're looking at some first letters, so it could be a college or a college vote keeping an S and an A inside of it. Principle could be something like an ideal. Let's move to the next one. Shook container with wine. Wine could be something like asti. Actually, it could be something like claret. So we might be looking at a straight part being the word wine. It could also be shook. Okay, let's move on to the next one. See fewer without sin. Could without be an anagram indicator? We do have the right number of letters, and then sin, could we have potentially an anagram that means the word sin? I don't think so. I wonder if this is more likely to be a charade. So, okay, yeah, actually if it is a charade, a word for C could be spot, and a word for fewer could be less. So it's a charade of C and fewer, meaning without sin, so spotless. So few in, but not too many. Let's look at one down. Wolves player who roams around aimlessly. Who roams is 8 letters. Around aimlessly could be a potential anagram indicator. Or we could have a straight part that means wolves, like predators or carnivores. Not jumping out at me, so I'll skip. Long nail finally broke. This might be another charade as well, so it might be a word for long, or then the final letter of nail. That could mean something like broke, like poor. Doesn't jump out, so I'll come back to it. This one I'm making an assumption that 11 across starts with D. That might be wrong, so I might take that out. Person from institution, given home with couple. So who would a person from an institution be? Maybe like an inmate or a doctor. Given home, home could be in. Couple could be pair. There's a few different things here. So again, doesn't feel like the easiest one. Let's move on. Church program includes top lay musician. So a church program, maybe that could be a sermon. If it includes the top of lay, it could be including a Y to give a musician. Again, not jumping out, so move on. Number 5, designer has elastic miniskirts in Twiggy's size. Lots of words, lots of potential mechanics. So again, I'm jumping through to find the easy ones. We had stores in Kids Pool, initially keeping old among new skis. So I think new skis means we've got an anagram indicator. Potentially. So I wonder if we've got a straight part there's stalls, and then in Kids Pool initially being an I and a K, then keeping the old, O for old, among new skis. So if we did have that, we'd have new skis, which is 4 letters, Kids Pool initially being a K, and then old. That feels hard. So let's try skis. Kids Pool and old. Okay, so it's kiosks. Okay, so that fits. Cool. Next down, big draw in twitching days curlew, maybe. Days curlew just reads a bit forced. Again, that makes you wonder if it's an anagram. It's 6 and 4 letters, 10 letters, and days curlew is the right number of letters. Maybe it could be the anagram indicator. And a big drawing twitching. If twitching is bird watching, we could be looking for some kind of really cool bird that people who are bird watchers might want to see. So I think we've got an anagram of days curlew, meaning some kind of bird. I'm just going to put it in the anagram indicator and just give it a bash, see if anything jumps out. I reckon I'll need a bunch more letters in this. It might even be a bird that I don't know, because I'm not a twitcher. Doesn't jump out at me, but I think we've got a mechanic. Working in Canada, startled to see huge snakes. So a huge snake could be an anaconda. And the reason that jumps out to me is working is often on. If you're on the job, you're working. And I think we've got it inside Canada startled. So startled is an anagram indicator. We've got an anagram of Canada, and then we've got working inside it. So that anagram envelope's working, which is on. That gives us anaconda. Detectives men reportedly undercover. So who would be detectives men? Reportedly is probably a homophone indicator. So it probably means that we've got detectives men, a homophone for that, or homophone for being undercover. I think that potentially is a mechanic. But again, I'm looking for quick and easy answers, so I'll jump past that. Fence in space nearby. So fence could be something like a dealer. And if it is a dealer, it might even mean that we're kind of using that word as an anagram indicator. And an anagram within space, because we've got an S here and we've got the right number of letters. Maybe it means nearby. So let's just try that. In space. And we're looking for a word that means nearby. And I think that I should really be finding this a little bit more easily. But it doesn't jump out. No need to force it. Next one. Online image for travel centers, American sailor. Okay, so an online image. It could be an American sailor as the straight part. It could be online, or it could be an image. I think sailor is unlikely to be the straight part, because sailor is a really commonly used word that gets abbreviated to AB for able boatman, or tar, or salt, or rat. So I think sailor is a kind of mechanic word. American is often US. And then travel centers could be AV. So if it was something like AV, US, able boatman, doesn't quite fit, but it could be avatar. So just because I had the AV in, that kind of looked like it was possible. So an online image is an avatar, it's like a profile picture. Travel center is an AMV. American is just A for American. And then a tar is a word for a sailor. That's just one of those things I only learned from doing crosswords. So looking at scout out money for business. The scout out is looking like it could well give us some anagram letters, because we have a C and an O in here. But we don't have quite enough letters, and I don't know exactly what business would be unless it's the word letters CO for company. So again, looking for easy answers, so just come back to it. 24 time. Past time with young horse. So a young horse could be a colt. And that's this is a charade, because a pass in a mountain is a col, C-O-L. T is time is abbreviated to T, and a young horse is a colt. So we've got a few in. It looks like the bottom right corner is looking like it may go, or the top right corner. So let's try the bottom right for a bit, and then I'll have nearly finished my cup of tea, so I'll take a break. 24 across. College vote retains sport as essential principle. So if essential means that we're taking first letters, it could be that college vote retains sport. The first letters of these words are used. I think we're probably looking at something which means a principle. A vote could be for, it could be nay, it could be yay. College may just be the C, because we've got the word essential. We may also be looking at an S and an A, because, or S and A, so the first letters. This feels like it should be like an essential principle could be a core. But how would that work for college vote retains sport as essential principle? Not sure. 18 down only had 2 S's in it, which isn't particularly helpful, and 22 down I wasn't feeling super confident on. So the bottom left corner has some A's, which are not very discriminating. This top right corner, maybe we'll go back and see if this 11 across works. So we said finally corrected could be D. All tags on could be the letters for an anagram, with toys being an anagram indicator, and then 75% off. The other thing is that 75% off could just mean take 3/4 of a word away. But I'm going to kind of take a punt that it just means 75% off. Let's try this again. So we've got finally corrected as D, all tags on. Let's see. The last word would really have to be last. If it was last, I'm not sure why this isn't coming to me. We've got D, all tags on. No, don't think that works. So, not sure I've got this right yet. I'm not even sure the D is right. So this, let's maybe take a look at 17. We do have an N in it, and it's not particularly helpful. But let's see. Oh, decay and waste, producing a toxin. So this one I wasn't too sure about. So I don't think that's a good place to start. Okay, well, I've finished my cup of tea, so I'm going to take a pause on this one. I'll probably have a look at a few of the clues before we come back to the recording. So see you in a minute. Okay, so I'm back. I've had a bit of a break with some admin done. Just kind of jumped back, and this lawyer's bag was in the back of my mind. One of the things that I find helps with crosswords is when I leave a crossword for a while, I just take one clue and try to kind of roughly memorize it, and I just let it tick around in the back of my head while I'm using things. So a lawyer's bag could be a suitcase. Lawyers deal with suits. Lawyers deal with cases. So this is a kind of a really nice cryptic definition. These are my favourite types of clues. They're short, they're sweet, they're kind of smart. So let's look at 4 down and 5 down. 5 down felt like it was quite hard, but maybe we'll just have a couple of minutes working on these. So church program includes top lay musician. So what could we have here? A church could be CH. It could be CE. Let's just kind of start with the basics, put letters in and see what comes up. So perhaps we've got CH for church. Maybe we've got a word for program, including the top of the word lay. The top of the word lay could be an L or a Y. And if that's the case, then our straight part is musician. So I initially, just kind of as I was recording, thought chorist. But actually, I think cellist might work. Let's just see if that's the case. So church could be CE, so Church of England. A program could be a list, L-I, we've got 2 L's, I-S-T. And if the word list includes the top of lay, which is an L, that gives us cellist, which is the musician. Does that help us with 11 across? Let's see. So we've now got another L in this answer, which still fits quite well with the mechanism being finally corrected being a D and then an anagram of all tags on. So let's try again and see if this anagram helps work. So all tags on. So do long something, or maybe it's at long last. What could that be? 75% off. Again, could be long at the end, but this D at the beginning just doesn't feel right. I'm wondering if maybe we've got at long last. So fine, yeah, okay, I think that's better. So I think the straight part is actually finally. I thought finally was a kind of mechanic word saying finally corrected gives D, but I think actually the straight part is finally. So if it was, I think we would have at long last. Now that means we've got all tags on toys being an anagram indicator, and then with 75% off, so let's go back to this. Finally is the straight part, at long last. We're correcting or using an anagram of the words all tags on, and the toys, we're taking 75% or 3/4 of it away, which leaves only a T. And I believe that gives us the answer, which is at long last. Okay, so top right corner's looking a little bit closer. Let's go to 5 down. So designer has last of miniskirts in Twiggy's size. So I think Twiggy was a very thin model. So Twiggy's size could be something like, I don't know, 0 or 6 or something like this. So straight part could be Twiggy's size. It could be a word that means a sort of very thin size. It could just, the straight part could just be size. Or the straight part could be designer. With this has last of miniskirts, that does make me wonder whether we're taking a word and putting the last letters of miniskirts inside it. The last letters of miniskirts are I and S. So if it is I and S inside something that means Twiggy's size, then maybe we've got IST. That could work for a designer, because it could be like a something-ist, like I don't know what words could fit there, but like, you know, a novelist is a writer, or an arborist is a tree cutter. So if we're looking for something that means in Twiggy's size, and it does end in a T, what could a size be for Twiggy? Could be 0 or Could also be, there's an S, a Q, sorry, so it could be a Q. Not sure, but I feel it's getting closer. And again, Twiggy's size, that might be the clue that I just leave in my head after this little burst. I'm going to take a punt that it ends in T and see if that helps us 17. So decay in waste producing toxin. Okay, there's a T in the words in waste. Let's see if this anagram helper gives us anything. So it's probably not going to be starting with a W. Could be starting with an S or perhaps an A. I think the S is possibly more likely. If it is S, if we look at that, I'm not sure. I do feel like we should be able to get this. I mean, it's the Quiptic, so the words we're looking for should not be too esoteric. Could be that I'm just completely getting the mechanism wrong. It could be that we have a word for decay that's inside the words waste producing toxin. If that was the case, we could have a step broad. No, doesn't quite work. So we did get the E from cellist. Let's take another look at 8 across. So artist, leader of innovation in movement and light. So light we thought could be something like radiation or sunbeam or something like that. But light could also be the opposite of heavy. And artist might be completely wrong. It also might be that we've got artist and the leader of innovation inside a word for movement. If that was the case, we would have something like RAI. Movement could be a cause. So if it is a cause, we might have something like this, CAU, an S and an E at the end seems quite good. So I've got to get back to a little bit of my work and admin. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of let this clue sit in my head for a little bit while I'm doing some other things. So kind of while I'm pottering around, I will try to think about what Twiggy's size might be, because I think this Twiggy size might be a key part of it, or a designer. Okay, so back soon. Well, I couldn't help myself checking one more clue. I think I'd mentioned already for 3 down that a person from an institution could be an inmate, but I ignored it at the time because I thought I had a D for 11 across. Now that I've got the A, I can see that it is indeed inmate, and it's a fairly straightforward charade. A person from an institution is an inmate. If you're home, you're in, and a couple is a mate. So it is indeed a charade. And now I am actually going to go and do a little bit of work. Hi again. So I've made a little bit of progress. I just had a quick flick through and unlocked a little bit more of the bottom right corner. So the first thing I did was I tried to look at this toxin. I was thinking I must know this toxin. I mean, I studied chemistry at university, and then realised that when I was looking at the word decay as an anagram indicator, that was a mistake. The anagram indicator is actually waste, so it's an anagram of decay in, which gives us a much more obvious toxin, which is cyanide. Following that, I took a look at 18 down. Detectives, men. So detectives is commonly uses gives us an abbreviation DI, detective inspector. So detectives is DIS, and then reportedly is telling us that we have a homophone, and it's a homophone of the word men. Men could be guys, GUYS, and in this case it's guys. So that gives you undercover. And then looking at 24 across, I was thinking of votes like yay or nay, like one-letter words for a vote. Then I was also thinking about sport, and looking at the U, I remembered that a common abbreviation we sometimes get from sport is RU for rugby union. So put RU in, and that gives us CRU, and the vote I kind of realised is X, obviously, and not obviously, but you put an X in a box for a vote. So that is an abbreviation I think I've seen before. Going back to 5 down, I did not, while I was kind of pottering around, get much for Twiggy's size, but once the Y for cyanide was in, I did think that we probably got tiny, because Twiggy's size would be tiny. So I think we've got a designer that potentially looks like something like this, a word that looks something like this, T, and then I-N-Y at the end, because I think we've got some stuff inside a word for tiny, which would be Twiggy size. This might be a designer, I don't know, but I'll come back to that one. What else? Was there anything else that jumped out at me while I was away? I did like the idea of look online being Google at first, and then I thought browse might be better. If we've got live coverage of disputes, it might be a homophone, and I was wondering if there's a word B-R-A-U, like brouhaha or something, or brouhaha. So I'm going to put that in browse and see if that helps me with anything else. I'm taking a punt here that the word brow is B-R-A-U means some kind of dispute, but I'm going to have to look that up afterwards. Does that give me anything else? Wolves player who roams around endlessly. This could be an anagram of player who roaming around with the aim, like a direction. For example, west in who being lost. I'm not sure. We've also got this big drawing twitching. Days curlew, maybe. I think I thought this one was probably an anagram of days curlew. That would also then give something that you have a big drawing twitching. I wonder if it's a window something. We also could potentially have, I'm not sure about this one, but days curlew just feels very forced. So I do think that we've got an anagram that's going on here. What else? One across, artist, leader of innovation in movement and light. I wonder, light could be sunshine. Oh, how would we get the artist from that? We would have the leader of innovation, which would be, oh no, sorry, it doesn't fit. Yeah, there's a letter between the N and the E, so that's definitely not right. We have the R in browse, we have the W here. We'll take a look at the anagram helper and just see if we've got days curlew. I don't even know what this word could be that fits with, that starts with W. Weasel? Could it? Does weasel fit there? Let me just see if that's how you spell weasel. Anagram helper, days curlew. No, doesn't look like that's too promising. So, I'm finding this crossword kind of, I wouldn't say harder than usual. I found the Quiptic to be quite tricky for the last few months that I've been doing it. So again, I'm going to take a pause and come back to it. I think I'm going to, for the clue that I'm going to try and kind of keep in my head, I might think about this artist, leader of innovation in movements and light, and I'm going to try and think about RA as artist, so maybe a word that starts with RA, and a word that means light. Okay, I'm back in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. A couple of minutes later, just kind of sitting there thinking about lights. I mentioned radiation, I think, before, and that just helped me get the answer. It's radiance. So what we have is RA, which is artist, Royal Academy. We have a word for movement, which is dance, DANCE, and inside that we have the leader, the first letter of innovation. So light is radiance. That gives us a few more letters. So one down, wolves player who roams around aimlessly. So what could this be? I think there's a bit of misdirection with wolves player. It might be sort of wanting you to think of a sports person or an athlete, someone who plays for like a sporting team, the Wolves, like a footballer or a goalkeeper or something. I wonder if instead it's a word that means wolves, like predators or carnivores or hunters or something like this. I think, though, if that was the case, the word would likely end in an S. So, if that was the case, we've got roams around aimlessly. So, could it be an anagram of who roams? If it was, though, it wouldn't. The endlessly wouldn't work. So I'm definitely not feeling like I'm quite on the right track with this one. Around, I still think is an anagram indicator. Aimlessly, well, if it's a word for aimlessly, if it's an adjective, it might end in Y. So if it does end in Y, we could potentially be looking at an anagram of player and who, because player has a Y in it. And if it was roaming, what would the wolves be? So again, if the straight part is like aimlessly, something that ends in Y, and we are doing an anagram of player somewhere, still doesn't really quite fit. What about two down? So long, nail, finally, broke. So long could be to yearn for something. So it could be the straight part could be long. If that was the case, then nail finally would probably be L for the last letter of nail, and then we'd be looking at broke, a word meaning broke, like poor or damaged or out or something like this. I think I've jumped back onto this one without giving myself enough time to think about it. So again, I'm going to kind of pause there and come back maybe once I've got 2 or 3 more clues, and we'll see if we can finish off like that. Okay, we're a couple of minutes later. I've just been looking through this and a few things have come out to me. So I started looking at 23 across, graduate Dr. Weeps, admitting student cheats. So on this one, I've taken a guess that it ends with S, that the straight part is cheats. The reason I've guessed that is that graduate is often a word for the mechanics of BA for a bachelor, MA for a master. So I was kind of thinking of potentially BA, and then a doctor like DR, and then perhaps a word for weeps, admitting an L, which would be a learner or a student. And if it does end in cheats, it would end in S. Now I haven't quite got this one yet, but with that S, I took a look at 22 down and quickly realised that business is custom, and that's an anagram of scout, so the anagram indicator is out, and then money is just M. Then I looked at 25 across because I was thinking this should container with wine, I should be able to get that. Decided that it was probably a charade, because if we've got a word for shook, it could end in ED. If it's a verb. So a wine, if that's the second part of the word, could be a red, and then a container could be a jar. So we've got jarred. So we're getting a little bit closer on this southwest corner. I will, again, just for fun, take a look at today's curlew and just see if anything comes out from that. Something card, a big drawing twitching, could it be some kind of card? a weasel card, or I'm not sure. What else do we have in terms of letters that's new? So the only new letters we've got some things we've looked at already here. So I think a real winner for this is going to be getting this graduate doctor weeps. Admitting student cheats. So what could we have here? One thing that I always do when I'm not sure is I look for hidden words. So we've got an S at the end. I think we've got an S in weeps and we've got an S in student cheats. Neither of those help us get a hidden words. So no hidden words. The word doctor and graduate, both of these are really, really common kind of code words. So a graduate could be a PhD, it could be a master, it could be a bachelor. Just see what bachelor. No, it doesn't fit like that. I was just wondering if the word bachelor fit in there somewhere. But it could be BA for a graduate. If we did have Doctor Weeps and we were admitting students, we'd have an L in here somewhere to give us something for cheats. Student cheats was making me think of cheats as a verb, but it also could just be people who cheat. I think getting this one is going to be key to getting a few of the others down here. So again, I'm going to pause and only mentioning that so you don't think I'm solving this crossword super fast, and come back. Okay, I'm back. I've spent about an hour on this crossword so far. Normally what happens is after an hour or so of kind of sitting at the computer, I'll let myself open the crossword on my phone, and then while I'm out and about, if I get a little bit of time here and there, I'll try and get a few more clues in. So I've pretty much finished this crossword now. I'm going to go through the last of the clues and try and do it roughly in the order that I got them, and then we'll just quickly summarize. So I moved on to the short clues on the top left as I was looking to try and get some easier answers in. So 2 down, long nail finally broke. So I started thinking of long as in desire and realized it could be pine. And that's actually quite straightforward because we've got nail is pin, P-I-N, and then we've got the final letter of broke, which is E, which gives us pine, which is to long. Following that, we had unemployed. Setter had clues every now and then. So I mentioned before that setter is often abbreviated to me or I. The setter of the crossword would be I or me. So I took a guess that we've got an I at the beginning and that we were using the occasional or every now and then letters of had. So some of the letters in had could be the D, the L, and the E. So that would be the odd letters without the H in had, which I did think was a bit odd. But the D, the L, and the E gives us DLE, idle. Following this, I took a guess that the Wolves player who roams around aimlessly made me think about wanderer. So wanderer. Now this still for me doesn't quite parse because I don't know how this is a Wolves player. But there was something in the back of my mind that, like, is there a football team called Bolton Wanderers, and are there players known as the Wolves or something? So just when we summarize, I'll quickly check that one. Then 13 down, I started wondering whether maybe I would be able to get this anagram, and I was wondering whether the anagram is not actually days curlew, but whether it was something to do with big draw in. So when I put big draw in the anagram helper, I quickly saw that it could be a wading bird. And it's only a wading bird if we get the days curlew, I believe. Now that would mean that the first letter of day, and I'm not sure what a curlew is, but I'm pretty sure that what we've got is wading bird, because that would be a big draw for a twitcher, and we do have an anagram of big draw in. And maybe sometimes means this is an example of. So an example of a big draw for a twitcher could well be a wading bird. So I will need to look this up. Following that, I think I went to 19 down and was thinking, this really feels like it could be ending in close, because nearby could be close, and then we could have enclose or something. So I put in enclose, had to think about it, and realized that yes, that's right. And the way it works is space can be abbreviated to en or em. Because in typography you have an N dash and an M dash, and those are basically two different types of hyphens, and I know that because I'm editing a book at the moment. That's quite a tricky abbreviation, I think, so it kind of indicates that I feel like this crossword is just a little bit on the harder side. After that, 20 came quite easily. To insist is to maintain, so if we put maintain in, what we get is head, which just gives us main, so the head person or the primary whatever could be the main whatever, and then to coach could be to train, train, and if we take the right, the r out of the word train, we get tain, so that's insist, maintain. Next we had 15, so even I just wasn't sure about this at all. And then what I thought is, could this be the word gradual, which feels a little forced for even, but then I thought, a kind of even descent down a hill could be a gradual descent, and also grad seemed like it could well fit with a mark, something in university, either a grad or a graduate or a grade. And how does it work? So an exam mark is a grade, GRAD, ADE. If you reduce this, you make it shorter, so you take off the final letter, which gives grad, without an E at the end. Next to university gives the U, so U for university. A is the next word, so university A first, we've just got the A that's between university and first, and then the first of linguistics is an L. So quite a hard clue there, quite a few different things going on. And then we got to 23 across. This one really stumped me for a while. I put in BA for graduate. I put in BA for bachelor's, MA for master's. I put an E at the end because I thought this probably is going to end in LES. And then I stepped away and it kind of popped into my head that this could be bamboozles. And how does that work? So we've got BA is a graduate, a doctor is an MB, to weep or weeps is oozes, OOZES, and it admits L, which is learner or student. That gives us bamboozles. And then finally, on 15 down, the only word I could think of that really seems to fit here is quantity. Quantity kind of roughly meaning size, but to be honest, that feels a bit forced. Now, how this one parses, I really have no idea. I wondered if the designer was Q, as in the kind of inventor from James Bond. I wondered if the Twiggy's size was tiny, and we somehow are changing this word. I see that the last of mini is the letter I, and we have some I's in here, but altogether, this 5 down, which was my last answer in, is beyond me. So I'm going to pause there. I'm going to quickly look up the wanderer clue. I'm going to look up the quantity clue, and then just kind of let you know what I found. But I think this crossword is done. So an hour kind of sitting at the screen and maybe an hour or so sitting at the phone. So I'll be back shortly with a summary of these clues that I couldn't quite parse. Okay, I'm back and I've looked up how these last clues worked. I don't know if you can see in my tabs, I've got 15 squared open, which is the blog that has the solutions for crosswords. And I've also searched for the word Mary. So 1 down, wanderer. It was a reference to a football team. It was the team from the Black Country are called the Wolverhampton Wanderers. So that's quite a sort of, at least to me, fairly tricky answer because I didn't know the football team. But then that's the great thing about cryptic crosswords. Cryptic crosswords is that even if you don't fully understand what's going on with the parsing, you can often get the clue and take a guess. So that was just a double definition. Now the next one I thought was very hard. So the designer, apparently there's a designer called Mary Quant, and I hadn't heard of that designer. So the designer is Quant, Quant. Following that, we've got the last of Mini, which I did think was probably just giving us an I, so that's the I. And the skirts of Twiggy is the surroundings or the edges of the word Twiggy, which is TY, and that gives us quantity, which is a size. So thanks, Hectence. That was a great and pretty tricky start to the week for me. I particularly liked the clue. I think my favorite clue was number 14. That was the kind of the clue of the day for me, the lawyer's bag. Very short and sweet, straightforward cryptic definition, which I thought was fantastic. I think the first clue in was unfair, which was quite straightforward, and then definitely the hardest one for me was quantity, which again relied on a little bit of general knowledge. I hope you found that sort of useful, and I will see you next time.